All right, let's talk about agentic AI, because there's a massive conversation happening around it. And honestly, there's a pretty good chance that the way most companies are thinking about it is just, well, completely wrong. And that's not just a small mistake, it could be a really dangerous one. So let's get into it. This quote right here, it really just nails the problem, doesn't it? It's the whole reason we're talking today. The minute you label agentic AI as an IT project, you've already put it in the wrong box. This isn't just about buying some new software. It's so much bigger than that. And getting it wrong, well, the consequences are huge. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to pinpoint that exact mistake. Then we'll completely reframe how to think about this AI as an actor, not just a tool. We'll walk through a 4-stage journey of adoption, figure out what the real bottleneck is that's holding everyone back. And finally, we'll talk about how to do this the right way with a human-centered approach. Okay, section 1. Let's really dig into this core mistake. It's easy to see why it happens. Leaders see this new technology and they think, great, another tool to make us more efficient, to cut costs. But that's the trap. Thinking of it as just another tech upgrade means you are completely missing the revolution that's happening right under your nose. So let's be super clear on what we're talking about. Agentic AI is not your typical chatbot or data analysis tool. Those things assist humans. Agentic AI, it acts. It can make its own decisions and carry out really complex jobs all by itself. That's not just a small step up. It's a completely different category of technology. And because it can act on its own, this is not just a technical upgrade. It's more like an organizational earthquake. I mean, think about it. When you have a system that can decide on its own which suppliers to pay or how to reroute your whole supply chain because of a storm, you haven't just installed a new app. You've fundamentally rewired the very structure of how your company operates. So if it's not a tool, what is it? Here's the most powerful way to reframe this in your mind. Think of agentic AI as a new actor joining your organization. You're not just installing a program. You are, in a very real sense, hiring a brand new kind of employee. And this comparison makes it so clear. You see, traditional automation helps a human do their job better or faster. It boosts productivity. Agentic AI, on the other hand, acts on its own. The impact isn't just a productivity bump. It forces you to completely redesign your organization around it. And this new actor on your team brings up a whole host of really tough questions that have nothing to do with code. Suddenly, you're asking things like, okay, who's on the hook if an AI signs a bad contract? Or how does a human team even work with a system that can just do things? These are not tech problems. These are deep organizational human problems. So how in the world do you manage this kind of change? The good news is there is a path forward. This isn't something you can just switch on overnight. It's a journey, a maturity model that you have to move through stage by stage. Let's take a look. It all starts simple at stage 1, where the AI is just helping out, supporting human tasks. Then you move to stage 2, kind of like a co-pilot, where the AI shares control but with really strong guardrails. The giant leap, though, is to stage 3, where the AI is running complex operations pretty much on its own. And the final stage, stage 4, is where these systems can even evolve, but always inside a trusted, ethical framework. Now, here's the reality check. Almost everyone playing in this space right now is stuck somewhere between stage 1 and stage 2. That jump to stage 3, to genuine autonomous action, that's the chasm. And very few companies are actually ready to make that leap. So why not? What's holding everybody back from making that jump? You might think it's the technology, that it's just not ready yet, but that's not it. The biggest obstacle is something far more human. And there it is. This is the heart of the matter. The technology is moving at a breakneck pace, but you can't force people to trust a system they don't understand or feel control over. The real speed limit here isn't processors or algorithms. It's human trust. So how do you build that trust? Well, it's not about better tech specs. It's about building organizational mechanisms. Things like having humans audit the AI's decisions, having really clear standards for explainability so the AI can tell you why it did what it did. And maybe most importantly, you have to actively build a culture that's ready to accept it. This little equation is so important to remember. You get to a sustainable, successful implementation through trust. And building trust, well, that just takes time.
This is exactly why rushing to hit some short-term ROI goal is so dangerous. It makes you skip the slow, messy, but absolutely essential work of building trust. And that almost always ends badly.
So ultimately, this all comes down to a massive cultural shift inside your organization. You have to get to a point where your people see this AI not as a threat that's coming for their jobs, but as a new kind of colleague, a collaborator. That feeling, that belief, is the bedrock that everything else has to be built on.
All right, let's bring it all home. If we know that trust is the bottleneck and culture is the foundation, then it follows that the way you implement this stuff has to start with people, not with technology specs, not with financial dashboards.
The companies that get this right will be the ones that ground every single move in these 3 E's. Empathy for the people whose entire work lives are about to change. Ethics as a non-negotiable guide rail. And experimentation, approaching this with curiosity and care, not with a big top-down mandate. What this really means is using the principles of human-centered design. It's a shift in focus. You stop asking, what can we automate with this AI? And you start asking, how does this new actor change the human experience for our employees, for our customers, for everyone? The focus has to be on people.
And that leads us to this final, really powerful takeaway. If you are serious about this, you are committing to redesigning your organization. So the first place you should be looking isn't your tech stack, it's your org chart. It's your decision-making processes. It's your accountability structures. That's where the real work begins. So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. Looking at that 4-stage journey, where is your organization today? Are you still at stage 1, just assisting? Maybe dipping your toes into stage 2? And more importantly, what's the biggest trust gap, the biggest structural hurdle that you need to solve before you can even think about moving forward?